Rosenblatt, and our salutatorian for the class of 2025, Ryan Schwartz. Now, typically, we first hear from our salutatorian, and then we hear from our valedictorian separate from one another, but in a very special way, highlighting their strong bond as students and friends. Both Grayson and Ryan will address the class of 2025 together. More than just outstanding scholars, Grayson and Ryan embody the spirit of Webb School, wholeheartedly embracing its culture as they challenge themselves academically while inspiring their peers and teachers throughout their time in the upper school. In true Webb fashion, their positive impact extends well beyond the classroom, as our valedictorian and salutatorian consistently demonstrated a commitment to making a positive difference in the lives of those they touched through their involvement in numerous service and co-curricular experiences. Today, at graduation, their collaboration is a wonderful reflection of seeing all that can be accomplished when students and faculty work together to fulfill the mission of this very special school. As they come to the podium here in a moment, please join me in congratulating these two remarkable Spartans. Our valedictorian for the class of 2025, Grayson Rosenblatt, and our salutatorian for the class of 2025, Ryan Schwartz.
Middle school selves heard that we would be giving a speech together 6 years later at graduation, we would not only be mortified, but also floored. Bluntly, we used to hate each other's guts.
It all began in 7th grade math class when we were isolated with one another in a small group for extended periods of time that we realized how much we did not get along. Realistically, we probably just disliked each other because of our competitive dynamic, but instead of acknowledging this, we chose to attribute this hatred to aspects of each other's character.
Our disagreements were only made worse when we were once again placed in the same math class to both of our chagrins. In 8th grade geometry, Ryan learned her new favorite word, quickly becoming my least favorite word, why? Her habit of asking existential questions delayed us to the point where Ryan spent almost an entire class period attempting to convince us that ketchup is a number.
To be fair, it made sense at the time, and it still does, that if there are an infinite amount of numbers, then one of those numbers has to eventually be named ketchup.
Right. And as we moved past the catch-up and into freshman year, already having compared our schedules and groaning at the fact that we had math together again, we unspokenly chose to quit interacting with one another for both of our sakes. Thus, freshman year math was endlessly peaceful.
Moving into sophomore year, I finally learned I was free of being in the same math class as Grayson. He was in D grade and I was in B. However, 2 weeks into school, I walk into Miss Shipley's class and find a sinister-looking Grayson sitting in the desk behind mine. It turns out we changed his schedule for physics, meaning he was going to be my math class again.
By this point, our hatred for one another was so infamous that one of our classmates openly speculated that she thought we would seriously end up having an enemies to lovers trope.
Now, either of those students could literally never happen for so many reasons. But we do acknowledge the impact on our fighting on those around us, and for that, we would like to take a moment to apologize.
I would like to express our sincerest apologies to Mr. Finley, Mr. Ingram, Miss Axley, we weren't that bad for you, Miss Shipley, and especially Miss Davis, as she had to put up with us for 2 years in a row. This is our apology video, I'm sorry.
Me too.
Anyways, we recognize that we just rambled a lot about a seemingly irrelevant topic, but we promise this is going somewhere.
Our bickering is not the only instance of hostility in our grade's history. Our theme from 7th to 10th grade directly mirrors the class of 2025 in interpretation as, and I quote, the worst grade to come through the school in many, many years. It's no secret our grade was a lot to handle.
Other commonly used descriptors of our grade included dysfunctional, always gets in trouble, very divided, etc., etc. Wherever our grade went, our reputation followed, and every teacher was warned to beware the class of 2025.
It's important to note we're using past tense here, as our class has absolutely improved. However, before we reflect on our impressive notable growth as a class, we'd like to recall some of our most iconic incidents as a grade.
Firstly, we have a track record of overreaction and impulsive behavior. From squabbles in the 5th grade academy bathroom, to cat fights, amongst men in 7th grade English, to other incidents in 8th grade, we've had our fair share of blue chair moments as a class.
I think it's fair to state that almost every girl took bi-weekly trips to Ms. Durkin's office to address yet another problem in their friend group. Whether it was an exclusive ASMR group chat or some other Chanel-esque off-limits posse, there was a never-ending divide within our class in middle school.
COVID didn't help with online school further separating our grade, but we are all too familiar with that story and no need to dwell. However, the resentment stemming between table mates from getting contact traced surely didn't bring us any closer together. Furthermore, the most possibly impactful bonding opportunity we could have had as a class, the 8th grade DC trip, was canceled due to COVID. Rather, we spent that time bickering about various national affairs over Zoom.
We all became quite familiar with grade-wide meetings, anonymous Instagram accounts, and then more grade-wide meetings addressing the Instagram accounts, and we expected this track record to continue into high school. However, the more conscious we became of how divided our grade was, the more we made an effort to change. Not only our dynamic as a grade, but our individual friendships.
On that note, and although I can't pinpoint exactly when Ryan and I's feud ended, at some point during junior year, we both just decided that we legitimately had no valid reason to uselessly bicker with one another. Once again, we were placed in the same math class and realized how exhausting yet another year of animosity could be. Junior year was already draining enough.
After being randomly assigned as partners for a couple of partner quizzes, we realized that we worked a lot better together than apart.
Genuinely, whatever I didn't know how to do, she did, and whatever she didn't know how to do, I did. We filled in the gaps in each other's comprehension, and even if we still occasionally argued about a problem, we significantly scaled down on the amount that we fought.
We even got so used to taking the quizzes together that we would intentionally rig the system by consistently picking out the same color dumbbell.
This didn't last long as mistakes quickly caught on, but lucky for us, we ended up being the only 2 people in our math class this year, so by default we were always partners, like it or not.
Again, we still fight like siblings occasionally.
Exemplified when she slapped me across the face about 3 months ago because I teased her for not knowing the answer to a very easy trivia question in math class.
I promise it wasn't aiming for his face, it was just a happy accident.
And I really think happy accidents encompass our grade in its entirety. Let us recall the infamous 5th grade group chat, Web the People. For all of you that entered Web in high school, yes, this group chat did originate 7 years ago, named after a song we learned in Miss Suhaki's class. Yes, it sparked one of those grade-wide meetings because a sizable proportion of our grade felt left out. But it is probably the most telling example of how the class of 2025 grew together.
At the end of junior year, the class of 2025 took a tarnished moment in our history and redefined it into something that was about inclusion, unity, and cooperation. Right the People was reborn, not just as a throwback group chat, but as an idea. In 5th grade, Right the People did not mean every person. Now it does. By creating a group chat open to every single graduating senior, we have facilitated several opportunities for relationship building and grade bonding.
All of our senior events have been planned through the Web the People group chat, and it is a regularly active communication line for our entire grade. So much so that we have attempted to and subsequently failed to plan at least 10 separate senior skip days. On a given day, I will look down at my phone and see hundreds of notifications from the group chat, either begging someone to plan senior sunrise or asking Harrison to declare a dress-out day. He really doesn't have that authority, but I applaud our efforts. In any case, I haven't muted it because it matters, because the quarrels and the disagreements are still communication, and we are unified through that.
Our reputation of being a grade that bickers a lot is not untrue, and used to be a label that was attributed to us in a negative light. However, we have taken this attribution and worn it like a badge, and that's not a bad thing. As we have grown up, we have learned to embrace our imperfections and use them to come together instead of using them as an excuse to tear each other apart. Finding the humor in our bad reputation has allowed us to be more conscious of the way we treat each other, and every time we heard something negative about our grade, it was a reminder to be more appreciative of the people we surround ourselves with each day.
And we don't just love to find humor in our collective experience, but also in the individual experiences of members of our class. To preface, I really wish I had a projector to provide a visual for some of the following memories and recollections, but descriptions will have to do. I'm sure we all remember Galen Red. You weren't here in middle school, just imagine a Renaissance-era portrait of a young girl in a red dress. Only, instead of frolicking in a field amidst painted brushstrokes, the young girl was captured by a school iPad in the middle of drama class. Thank you, Gail. The photo circulated widely around the middle school, and I'm sure still haunts Gail in her nightmares, but the circulation truly unified us through humor. No matter who you were, you knew who Galen Red was, this just being one of the many shared experiences we had at each other's expense to unite us as a class.
What most people would deem as embarrassing moments to never speak about again are moments we have turned into experiences we can laugh about with one another. I truly believe that our worst quality of not taking things seriously 24/7 has become our best quality. For example, when Langley chose to turn the Weiler container directly upside down and look straight into harassment or teasing, but instead of laughter. Through laughing at one another and with each other in unfortunate moments, such as Mrs. Scribble pausing on Aunt Juliet at the wrong time several times, and Ella accidentally ingesting a concerning amount of pen ink in Mr. White's composition class, we have bonded over our ability to not take things too seriously.
As high schoolers, we were all shown up by Ephraim's ability to absolutely break it down on the homecoming, winter formal, and prom dance floors. And as many times as we've seen it, Gracie falling down the stairs will never not be hilarious. And for anyone who we have not mentioned yet, I know that there is a candid photo somewhere on the web Instagram that haunts your waking hours. No shade at all to Ms. Kowalski, you are our beloved photographer, we are so thankful for all the moments that you capture, even if we aren't fully prepared to look down your lens. Each of us has been laughed at and laughed with, and so each of us has been integrated into the wonderful community of our graduating class. However, as we have grown into high school, our ability to connect with one another has surpassed superficial and yet essential humor. As we age, we are further able to connect on a truly sentimental and interpersonal level.
I know when we think of our grade, we do not usually picture a success story of a closely bonded group, but there are a lot of instances where we have connected with each other without even realizing it. From playing heyday Roblox and freshman commons, to throwing ice cream at each other at Young Life, to coming together to advocate for a grade-wide prom dinner, we've had a lot of common experiences in our high school careers, whether they were minuscule or truly impactful. Most importantly, we have joined forces on numerous occasions to make these experiences reality.
And I think the best example of us truly coming together in a non-humorous, non-sarcastic, truly impactful way was Senior Sunset at the beginning of the year. We all chose to collectively show up and experience a beautiful evening together, each of us desiring to kick off our final year unified as a class. We even got a grade-wide picture which received sarcastic but also touching comments from members of our class such as, "I truly think this is the first time we have all been together." And these comments really struck me. I think we were all a little bit surprised with ourselves and our ability to connect, but we should have been because, as I cannot stress enough, we have not given ourselves enough credit. Again, being unified as a class does not mean you have to be best friends with everyone, or even friends with someone from every circle or every walk of life. Being unified as a class means a conscious effort to interact and to make memories, which I think we've all committed to in some capacity, and I hope we can all applaud ourselves for that. Now, right about now, I was going to use the sunrise to sunset metaphor to emphasize that we were not only committed to coming into our graduating year united and committed to remaining connected this year through intentional action, but also how we are leaving with connections we would have never thought possible. But of course, the class of 2025 just had to have senior sunset at the beginning of the year, sunrise at the end, so that made my analysis slightly more difficult. Side note, I'm counting our senior breakfast and church signing as a sunrise because A, my metaphor needs to work, and B, I wasn't about to wake up any earlier than that, so getting to school at 7:20 was the closest I was going to get to seeing the sunrise. Nevertheless, a different metaphor can be applied. We came into the year putting the notion to bed that we cannot come together, and we watched the sun set with this notion on that very day. And now we leave with newfound connections, newfound perspectives, and newfound love with one another, and we kind of watch the sunrise with these newfound looks on that very day.
As we come together one last time to celebrate how far we have come, we can leave web knowing that we have not only grown as individuals, but grown together. The people you have met here have artificial impact in who you are as a person and in the course of your life. Friendship is something you often take for granted, but I know, at least for me, it's been at the forefront of my mind this year more than ever. Knowing that I'm leaving behind some of the most supportive people in my life has made me realize how appreciative I am that I got to grow up with them. High school does not have to be everyone's place to find their people, and we can all find comfort in knowing that we have not yet met all the people who will one day be the most important people in our lives. But let that be a reminder to surround ourselves with people who are comfortable being who they are and celebrate the things that make us unique from one another. Friends do not push you to do things you're uncomfortable doing or push you away from doing what you know is right. The only thing real friends push you towards is being more of yourself. When we set out in a different direction in our lives, we must remember to make connections that actually mean something. Don't just make friends to say you have a lot of friends. Take into account what friendship means to you and who you are, and then be exactly that. Be the complete and total authentic version of yourself and let the right people find you. But before we get ahead of ourselves and start thinking about college, make sure to spend time with the people who have supported your growth into who you are right in this moment. Because this moment and those memories of one another are something you will never get back.
So while we come together today to celebrate our achievements that led us to this stage, whether they be academic, athletic, extracurricular, personal, interpersonal, professional, unprofessional, and everything in between, let us celebrate our friendships. Not only the strong, close and strong bonds that Ryan spoke about above, but the broken, strained, possibly reconciled or irreconcilable friendships. Because those individuals were once a part of you too, and they shaped you in some way that I guarantee you are grateful for. We are programmed to love, not to castigate. as I think our class has truly proven over the course of this year. So I implore you all, as you exit the building and move onto the lawn, to give those people a hug, or a fist bump, or a high five, or even just a congratulations. In times of reflection, we should consider our relationships with people that we are close with just as we should consider those individuals we were once close with. High school is about change, and the relationships that we have had with one another represent and reflect this change in ways that cannot be replaced or substituted.
Grayson and I chose to stand side by side today to give this speech to acknowledge the true progress that we have not only seen but felt amongst the class of 2025 in coming together to rewrite our narrative. But furthermore, we wanted to exemplify how something as seemingly insignificant as an immature feud or singular friendship can end up having a tremendous impact on a person's experiences and outlook on life in the world.
Because wherever I go, I will never forget the lessons that Ryan taught me, whether that be logically proving that ketchup is a number, or allowing me to realize the full potential of effortful collaboration and conscious awareness of others' perspectives that can break any obstacle, big or small. Queen Elizabeth beautifully expressed this sentiment in stating, "Whatever life throws at us, our individual responses will be all the stronger for working together and sharing the load." Ryan and I have realized this, not only in our friendship, but in our friendships with all of you. I truly believe that each and every one of us can recognize instances where this sentiment is proven true in interactions and relationships between members of our class. We are stronger together, we are stronger as friends. As you move forward from this moment, carry that with you, and be thankful that you can leave well knowing you've surrounded yourself with people that have impacted your life in such a tremendous way. Be thankful that you have not only learned how to be a friend, but learned how to be the friend, which is something you can only learn from one another. Carry that thankfulness with you forever as you continue to be the friend, and don't hesitate to acknowledge it.
We want to thank Webb for being such a special place for us to grow up in. Thank you to the teachers and staff for being an example of passion, dedication, and kindness. Thank you to Mrs. Crowther for being here and sharing so many wonderful words of advice and encouragement. Thank you to all the parents present here today, who are our very first friends, and thank you to the loved ones you met along the way. And finally, thank you to the class of 2025.
Thank you for being dysfunctional.
Thank you for being real,
Thank you for being entertaining.
but most importantly, thank you for being our friend.